Welcome back to Justice. Earlier, I spoke with Senator Rand Paul about the decision to strike Syria. Take a look. Senator Paul, thanks so much for being with us. Interesting times. You, like everyone else, pretty much agrees that the atrocities that occurred in Syria are to be condemned, but you take a rather different tack. You believe that the president's actions are wrong. Tell us why.
Well, you know, we just spent a lengthy week approving Justice Gorsuch, and what many conservatives like about him is that he adheres to the law. He's an originalist. I'm the same way as a legislator. I think we should look to our founding fathers and to the opening debates of our country. They said that the power to declare war or to initiate war resided in the legislature. Specifically, they did not give it to the executive. It was a big debate, and they were explicit. War would be declared by Congress. So when we go to war, that's the way it should be. The president should come to us and ask our permission. He's essentially asking the permission of the people to go to war.
And Senator, I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with you. But the question is, did we go to war with the attack by the cruise missiles on those chemical weapons, or was this a one-off that was necessary? And, you know, that if there is to be further action, it might be necessary to get congressional approval.
Well, the thing is we don't know what is in the mind of the president, but we do know historically we've had similar situations. Saddam Hussein was a despot, did many deplorable things to his people, gassed the Kurds, kind of the same situation in Iraq. But when George Bush decided to go into Iraq and begin the war, they always begin with bombing. We don't know if that's the beginning or the end. He did ask for permission from Congress. So the appropriate way is to ask our permission. The danger is we would be at war everywhere all the time if there were no limits to war. And in fact, we have been at war for 15 years without any new voting by Congress. And I think that's a big mistake.
Well, you know, and I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with you. We're in too many theaters. That goes without saying. But at the same time, Senator, you've got almost 500,000 people killed in Syria. 5 million of them, 5 million displaced all over the world. At some point, and everyone, even Chuck Schumer, I mean, agrees that what happened was horrific. And this guy, Assad, you know, go ahead.
I guess my question would be, war has caused these refugees to flee and has caused these deaths. So will more war accelerating or accentuating the current war with our involvement, will there be less refugees and less death? I would say there'll probably be more death and more refugees. I don't know that our bombing will all of a sudden lead to peace.
But Senator, if we don't get involved, what does he do? Just chemically gas every baby in the place and every woman and child? No, and then when there's no one left, sure, there's no war. He's doing it on his own.
No, it's absolutely deplorable, but atrocity is not an excuse to disobey the Constitution. So, for example, throughout Africa, as we speak, there are warlords that are stealing the food, and there are babies with swollen stomachs who are in the process of dying today because of war chiefs. But we don't decide to bomb every thief, thug, and murderer in Africa. So what we do is we should have a process, because we can't be involved everywhere. So let's have a process. We need to think about what comes after Assad. Is our goal to displace Assad or just send a bunch of bombs up and say, you better listen? I don't know if that works. But the other thing is, if we displace Assad, are the people on the other side any better? Or are they perhaps worse? Or are they perhaps equally as bad as Assad?
But isn't that a question that you ask if you're engaged in a war as opposed to a one-off based on exigent circumstances and based on the fact that there was a national security interest? You've got al-Qaeda, al-Nusra, you've got ISIS, you've got chemical weapons, and by the way, not to mention Russia and John Kerry and Obama were supposed to get rid of all those chemical weapons. No surprise they're still there.
A couple things we don't know. We don't know if this is the beginning of a war or a one-off. We also, some of those groups you listed are actually supposedly on our side against Assad. So al-Nusra and ISIS both hate Assad, and they actually hate Assad more than, or equally as much as they hate us. Some of the groups that we've given even anti-tank weapons, have said when they're done with Assad, they're going to attack Israel to take back the Golan Heights. I don't want my money or my weapons going to somebody that's going to attack Israel either.
It is a mess, and I think the message is clear. We've got a president who is strong, who's going to act, and he ran on this. He said, I'm not going to telegraph what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go to Congress and have everybody fight about it, and they move it all out.
But I would also offer another scenario, and I like the president. I'm a supporter of the president.
Yeah, you played golf with him, didn't you, last week?
Yes, and I like the president, both personally and professionally. I like the president. But what I would say is there's another way to appear strong. Right now, the one thing that the neocons up here would hate and would drive them crazy would be to actually talk to Putin. And unfortunately, all this Russia mess has made it probably hard for him to talk to Putin. But guess what? An international deal with Putin that gets rid of Assad is part of the answer. And that's probably more likely to happen with Russia's cooperation than without.
Senator Rand Paul, it's always great having you on, Justice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.